So, thank you everyone for joining this third session uh, on you and your genes. So, as an Attarde Foundation, I welcome everyone on this webinar. Dr. Dyandeo Chopade, already in the last two sessions, I introduced. He is a great personality. First of all, I'm really thankful, feel honored uh, to invite him as a speaker for today's session. He's a very close friend of mine. I'll quickly recap his, you know, bio. Those who are new to this call. So, Dr. Nandev Chopade is an MBBS, MS, PhD in medical genetics. He's a founder and director of Museum Koham. Museum Koham is a unique state-of-the-art museum which was created, designed, and established by Dr. Nandev Chopade in Nashik in the year 2011. This museum presents the scientific concept of human existence from birth to death using three-dimensional models. Visitor can experience self-revelation in three parts: life before you born, the language of your life, and the magic that you are inside. Dr. Chopra is also director of a Genetic Health and Research Center of Nasik. Uh, GHRC is the Genetic Healthcare Center providing counseling, diagnostic, and prenatal genetic healthcare services in the state of Maharashtra for the last 17 years. Dr. Chopra is also a director of Medical Education and Research Foundation. MERF is the committed for the production of medical educational model for medical students, colleges, and school for making real and virtual teaching learning easy and interesting. Dr. Chopra is also founder and president of Down Syndrome Care Association. DSCA is the NGO committed for the empowerment of the individual with Down syndrome and their families. Currently, 300 families are supported through this activity. Dr. Chopra is the secretary of Indian Society for Training and Development. He is an author, authored two books for medical students and two for public. He has 11 research publications in the area of genetics in national and international journals. He's a member of editorial board for four international journals, and he has several noteworthy awards. Doctor of Millennium Puraskar 2002, National Medical Excellence Award, uh, uh, Bajaj Discover Positive Health Hero Award 2010, Dr. Suresh Nadkarni Memorial Award for Maharashtra State of IMA 2011, Dr. Vasandrao Gupte Memorial Award by Indian Medical Association, Nasik, Social Service Award by Rotary Club, Purush Singh Puraskar Lions Club, International Award for Excellence in Medical Genetics 2018, Levi Kon Puraskar, and many more. So here I welcome Dr. Chopde to again enlighten us little more onto genetics. And this is the third session. We thought of at least having only one session, but because of the interest of audience and the way he explained and in the layman language, it actually we are now into the third session of this series. Thank you. Now it's all yours, Doctor.
Yes, Prabha. So thank you so much for this fantastic introduction. I welcome you all. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. And I'm really happy that I'm talking to you third time. There are people who I see third time on this platform. And that shows the interest that we have in the area of genetics, which usually is considered as something which is very boring, very difficult, and something which is beyond the understanding of a common man. So I feel proud that I could make it simple for you to understand, and I could generate that curiosity and interest in you. So our today's topic is very interesting. As I titled it Epigenetics. This is the third in series, You and Your Genes. And the topic is epigenetics. And epi means above. So far, I was talking about genetics. I was talking about there is everything written in that script. Now I'm talking about something that there is beyond that. And we will be discussing about whether we have a say in our life. So I invite you to just consider that you have a full say in how you live your life. Most of us live life as if there is nothing that we can do. Everything is predetermined, and that creates complete powerlessness. Through this talk, scientifically, I'm going to give you some insights into how we can make it powerful, how we can have a say in our life, how we live it. So let me go to the slides. I have few slides, and maybe those slides will give you some real understanding of what I'm talking. So actually, before I begin, I want to see the faces here on this platform so that I get that feel of being there in the classroom or a hall or in a conference kind of thing. I request you all please open your video once. Let me just have a look. Thank you, Rochna. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Harsh. Thank you, Prati. Thank you, Dr. Dipali. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really great. And this connectivity is what carries me in this lecture. That is what keeps me alive, right? Otherwise, this is a virtual platform, and there is a possibility that I get lost.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much. So let me share my screen now. Oh, yeah. So what you see here, this is the title, Epigenetics, Genes and Your Destiny. We all are interested in our destiny, right? If somebody tells you this is what is going to happen in your life, you would be interested, right? Most of us, some or the other time have shown our kundali or our hand to some the one who professes the destiny and the future, right? So we are going to talk about destiny and how is it related to what we have inherited, something which is really powerful. Now, just have a look at this slide. What do you see? Now, since we started this talk, we started at 8:02, and I think it is 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Yeah, it is about 7 minutes that when we started it. So in this world right now, in this last 7 minutes, about 1,500 to 2,000 babies are born. And about 1,900 to 1,000 people have died in the last 7 minutes. And the moment we take a pause or just we breathe in and out, there are people being born and people dying. This is what is there. I really congratulate you for being here and being alive. We really need to celebrate and congratulate ourselves that we are alive on this planet right now at this moment. And we are looking at what can be done, how we can live the rest of it. We're talking about it. So between the two moments, the one of beginning and the one of end, you can see there on the top, there is an image which shows that that's the reality. That's the human cycle. Everyone born here has to die, including you and me and everyone. How is this assembly?
सबसे मिल गया, सब सामान मिल गया.
So I request everyone to put your mic on mute. Yeah, thank you. So between these two moments, the beginning and the end, the body that we are or the existence that we are is nothing but the arrangement of the trillions and trillions and trillions of flickering, very trivial atoms. Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, and you can see it here on in the list. This atom, if I just take out my body parts, particle by particle, atom by atom, maybe within few minutes, I'll be able to make a heap of all the atoms here. And if I separate them out, About 65% of it is oxygen, 18% is carbon, 9.5% is hydrogen. That is what you can see here on this slide. This is just to give you an idea about who you are. These atoms, which are very curiously engaged in creating the structure that you are, moment by moment changing, but keeping you intact, these atoms. And these atoms are arranged in different kinds of molecules like water, proteins, minerals, fat, carbohydrate. And 62% it is water, H2O. So you as an entity existing on this planet at this moment is nothing but this assembly of atoms. And here it is only on this planet, so far we know, that these atoms are very curiously engaged in making who you are. So far we know, in the whole of this universe, outside the earth, in the space, on the planets, on the stars and galaxies, everywhere there are atoms, different kinds of atoms. But it is only here that these atoms are arranged in a very specific way to make you. And this has become possible by that extraordinary molecule of Dyandeo on this planet.
Doctor, your voice is a little low. If you can close little.
Okay.
Your
Is
mic.
this okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I need to take this one. Okay.
Mic, yeah.
Okay. So could you hear so far what I said?
Yeah. Yes.
Got that. Okay. So what I was creating is, it is only on this planet, as far we know, that these atoms are engaged, integrated, assembled in the structure that you are moving, feeling, thinking, changing moment to moment and existing between beginning and end. And that has become possible by the extraordinary molecule of Dyandeo. That is what we know. That is what science says. That is what our evolutionary theories say. That is what all the researchers are saying. If you separate out the body into different kinds of units, you will see that it is made up of trillions of cells, individual living entities. So let me tell you something. Like, if you just look at yourself in the mirror, the person that you see at that end in the mirror is, in fact, the assembly of 35 trillion cells, independent living, moving, thinking units, having their own intelligence. That you think who you are is this entity, human entity, is itself an illusion. This entity is made up of about 35 to 50 trillion cells functioning in coordination, in harmony, keeping you. And these cells are made up of those atoms. Your journey started at the conception, right? Your journey started at a moment on this planet when one of the egg was fertilized by one of the sperm as a single cell, about 100 to 150 micrometer in diameter. And then that cell divided and redivided 2 into 4, 4 into 8, that way, into thousands and millions and billions and trillions of cells. And all of them got arranged in a very specific way, changing the shape continuously, consistently. From that single cell into an embryo, ball-like structure, then a small baby, then a baby born, then a child, teenager, adult, aged, and then death. Consistently, this is happening. And independently, each cell has its own life. And you are that assembly of trillions and trillions of cells. Every cell living and interacting with the others to keep you. Let me talk about some basics of the genetics that we have earlier talked about. for actually getting what we are talking about, the genes and destiny and the epigenetics. So this is what we have already talked about in the earlier two talks. So what you see in this image, on the right side, you can see there is one single cell. Inside there is a nucleus, and in this nucleus, there are chromosomes. So we have seen there are 46 chromosomes in 23 pairs, 23 from mother, 23 from father. This way we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. And if you just look at each chromosome, it is a very long thread of the DNA arranged in a very specific way. If you extend it out, you can see that it is a double helical structure. Pramod, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah. Now it's clear.
Okay,
I think
and
you need
video
to
is
close the
clear?
mic closer a little.
Okay. So if you just extend it, you can see it is double helical structure. And you can see here there are pairs of letters, chemical letters we call as A, T, C, and G. Adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. These are the chemical letters which are used by the nature on this planet Earth to write life on this planet, including yours, mine, plants, animals, and microbes, and everything. This thread, very long thread, which is made up of a specific arrangement, specific sequence of these letters, is what we call as DNA. And this DNA is coiled and recoiled and coiled again and again to form the chromosomes. So this DNA is the chemical nature. It is the chemical language of life. And the order of these bases determines our life instructions. This is the basics. Now let us look at this. If we sequence, or if we look at all the arrangement of the DNA on all our chromosomes from end to end, there are about 3 billion letters. If I start typing it right now, it will take me minimum 50 years with the fastest speed known. It will take me 50 years to type, so long that is. And if I see the same sequence of a chimpanzee, 99% it is same. So 99% already I am a chimpanzee, you are a chimpanzee. And here you can see people, how they differ from one another. There is only 0.1% difference in the DNA, that sequence, which makes you, never to be repeated again in this universe. So specific, never happened earlier, no other copy right now, and it is not going to be repeated again in this universe. And this is the sequence that we're talking about, which has made us who we are. Of these 3 billion letters, at some places, for example, on this thread of the DNA of this chromosome, you can see from here to here, there is a specific sequence. And this sequence of the letters will make one particular protein in our body, or part of protein, which expresses as a structure or function that we exist. This segment, this particular part of the DNA is what we call as gene. And there are about 22,000 genes. That is what the latest information is. 22,000 genes in pairs from mother and from father. For each gene, this we have one copy from mother, one from father. So they are in pairs. So these genes are nothing but the specific sequences that make important proteins in our body, creating our structure and function. So as an example, structure. Your eye is made up of thousands of proteins, and there are number of genes which are making that. Inside your eye, there are rods and cone cells, which make you see the colors and the light. There are hundreds of genes responsible for that. The color of your skin, pigment, melanin, there is one gene which is making that melanin. If that is not there, you will be white completely. There is protein insulin inside your body. If that gene making insulin protein is defective, insulin will not be made, or defectively made, and will have diabetes. This way, all these genes are making who you are structurally and functionally. So if this is so, The question is, are we then the victims of our heredity? Are we the victims of that DNA molecule? We were not given the choice to choose our own genes. I was not given a choice where I am supposed to be born. I am to be born. I was not given a choice what to inherit. And if everything is written over there, then am I simply a victim of those sequences, those chemical base pair sequences? Is a question. Am I locked inside the jail created by this DNA on this planet? Am I being used and manipulated and controlled completely by the genes and the DNA? So there was a time in the scientific world when we were talking that everything is written in the DNA, everything is written on the genes. That was what we used to call as genetic determinism. And still there is a debate going on. So now we are going to look at something which is very powerful. What is that? So the first thing is, if you consider your life is determined and controlled and manipulated by the sequences on your DNA, do you have any say in your life? And if you don't have, does it mean your whole destiny is determined by that? How to live, how to feel, how to experience existence? What does that really mean? And here we come to the topic. So what we're talking about is, there is something beyond that script, the script that we inherited from our parents in the form of the DNA and the genes on the DNA. There is something beyond that which can control the expression of those genes. And that is what we're talking about as epigenetics. Epigenetics changes the entire game. So the question that, is our life controlled by the DNA sequences, and is the DNA playing some game with us? The answer is epigenetics changes that entire game. It says that genetic expression is directly related to the environment and our perception of the environment. So I'm going to give you some evidences for what we are saying. So by definition, the term epigenetics means above genetics. So it is above the genes, beyond the genes. And it refers to the external modifications that turn your genes on or off. So that we have inherited all those 22,000 genes from our parents, not that all the genes are there in all the cells, not that all the genes are expressed in all the cells. As we have seen it earlier in the earlier talks also, from that single cell when it begins, as the cells are being formed, millions and billions of them, they are forming different tissues and organs with different functions. So a heart is formed, and the heart cell has got the genes which are expressing, which are necessary, that are necessary for heart cell to function as a heart cell, to contract and expand. The brain cell has got all the genes, but only those genes are on which are necessary for a brain cell to work as a brain cell, means to perceive, to pass on the information from one to the other place, to transport the signals from one to the other place. That way, there are 220 different types of cells in our body, and this is because of specific switching on and switching off of the genes, which is programmed. Now, to get really what we're talking about, the destiny, and to differentiate between that and the biology. Biology is that you are a human being, you are structurally and functionally living as a human being because it is programmed in that DNA. The question we are asking is, if everything, including the structure, function, and how you perceive how you experience your existence is controlled by the DNA. That is what we are talking about. And the question is, if that is so, then we are powerless. Living life, so if I ask you a question, all of you here on the top, if I ask you the question, what is life? Where is it actually? And if I ask you how is life, what will you describe? What will you tell me? So life is here, where we are right now. It is not there tomorrow. It is not there yesterday. It is not there in the moment to come. It is not there in the moment past. It is here right now. And how is life? If I ask you, what would you describe? How will you describe? You will describe either it is beautiful, or it is bad, or it is threatening, or it is lovely. Whatever way you perceive it, you will describe it in your experience. What you experience being human being right now is what life is all about. We're talking of that experience, and that can be changed. That can be changed, and that can be seen changed through the expression of the genes. That is what we're talking about. Genetic experience is directly altered or controlled by the environment and our perception of the environment. The modifications these factors, the environment do, is not by changing the sequence of DNA. It doesn't change the structure of DNA, but it changes the expression of these genes. Which genes to switch on, how long, how frequently, and which genes are to be switched off, when, how long, and how frequently can be determined by the environment. Now, right now, it might seem very simple. I'm going to get you there where you experience life itself. You experience your living itself. Let us look at this. Just to give you a scientific perspective. So now in most of the laboratories in the world, these experiments are happening. So what do you see here? There is one petri dish. And in this petri dish, there are specific kinds of cells which can divide and redivide. We call these as multipotent stem cells. Stem cells, which can divide and redivide, right? Now, if we have a number of such cells and separate these cells into 3 different petri dishes, these cells are from a particular organ having same genes, same DNA sequence. That they are stem cells, they are not doing any job right now. If we put these cells separately in 3 different dishes and add to these dishes 3 different environments, what I mean to say is, the fluid which contains the different kinds of nutrients and the chemicals. So here in this petri dish, if we add a medium, what we call as culture medium, there are all the nutrients, there is oxygen required, there is carbon dioxide required, there are other nutrients, there are vitamins, there is antibiotic to suppress the growth of the microbiota, all that is there. And these cells, they start now dividing and redividing. And we have added certain chemicals. So if this is A, environment A, for the same cells, here there is different environment B, here there is different environment C. And you observe the cells as they grow. Within few hours, you will see that the cells are being different. So here the cells are being, maybe for example, bone cell, here the cells are being muscle cells, and here the cells are being the fat cells. The same cells, right? The source was same, the DNA was same, the sequence was same, everything was same, but the same cells in different environments are becoming different. They are doing different jobs. This is because of specific genes getting expressed here and the other genes being suppressed. In 3 different dishes, same cells here are becoming different. Now, again, come to the point that you are an individual entity is an illusion. You are an assembly of 35 trillion cells. And these cells are living inside this structure covered by the skin. And inside that, there is a medium. That is blood. There is an environment. Just digest this. So we come to the conclusion what controls the fate of your cells and thus the fate of the whole of the assembly that you are made up of, trillions of cells, what controls that is the environment. By putting the genes on or off, depending on what is there out. A new addition to our knowledge of who we are. In the last few years, not more than 12, 13, 12 to 20 years, we have started understanding that inside our body, more than our human body cells, there are microbial cells. And thus, who we are as humans is not the pure humans, but the superorganism, a kind of ecosystem where human cells are there and there are microbial cells. And these microbial cells are different kinds. There are thousands and thousands of types of these cells. It is estimated that there are 10,000 different species of the microbes inside our body. And each of these species has its own intelligence in the form of the DNA. And who we are expressed is our own body cells interacting with those microbial cells. This makes it more complicated. That microbes are there, the microbes are also the cells. So whether these are human cells, microbes, or whether this is a combination of human cells and microbes, all that is working together in some kind of environment. So it doesn't matter whether the cells are there in the laboratory, in a petri dish, in a medium, or whether the cells are making this structure that you call who you are, bathed in the blood medium. It is the environment where they are staying, where they are living, that decides the fate of the cells. So let us look at what is the environment of the cells in our body. That's blood. And what is that environment made up of? So if you analyze blood, you will see in the blood there are components. There are some cells, there is plasma, there are proteins, there are hormones, there are different chemicals. Whatever you have taken in, either through your digestive system as a food or a fluid, or through your respiratory system in the form of gases, or through your skin in the form of diffusion, or something is injected inside your body, all that is there in that blood. If you smoked, there is nicotine in. If you drank alcohol, there is alcohol in that blood. Whatever you take in, which enters in the bloodstream, is forming the medium, the surrounding, the environment where the cells are living. It's reaching each and every cell. That's one part. Second, what is there inside your blood is all those chemicals which are released by your brain. Your brain is continuously releasing something. Your brain is continuously releasing some chemicals in the form of some hormones, which migrate through the blood, which migrate through the nerves. There are glands inside the body which are controlled by the brain, and those glands are releasing some hormones and constantly monitoring the surrounding of the cells. So what is there in the blood? There is all that. What you take in, what is injected, and apart from that, what is released by your brain. Now, this is something which is very powerful. This gives us the power. Let us look at what I mean to say. So, if you look at the epigenetics in action, it is happening continuously, consistently from beginning to end. Epigenetic means the environment is influencing the cells through diet, through the outside temperature, through the outside constitution of the air that is there outside you, the pressure that you are living in. There are different microbes that you are exposed to, toxic substances, drugs that you are taking in, medicines you are taking in, your financial status, exercise you are doing, the microbes that are harboring inside and outside your body, your interaction with the people around and the world around, and your psychological state, your mental state. From beginning till death, these are the factors which are monitoring the expression of the genes. They are modulating the expression to put the genes on or off. So if you look at this, since beginning means fertilization, conception. Even before that, we are talking now that even before the beginning of a life, what the parents were doing, what the father was doing before the conception happened, and what the mother was doing before the conception happened, when those cells, egg and sperm, were being formed in their body inside their gonads, what were they doing? Also impacts the programming that we're talking about. The programming that we said is that you are going to be human, you are going to express in the form of the specific structure, specific tissues, organs, and stepwise. Is there something that can make you old by alteration there in the gene, not in the structure, but by epigenetic influence on that, by putting off some genes and putting on certain other genes, even before you are conceptualized in this world? So, if you ask your gynecologist or obstetrician, they will tell you, before you plan pregnancy, you should be healthy physically, mentally, financially, and you should abandon drinking, smoking. You should think good things. You should listen to good music. You should have peace, happiness, freedom. All stresses should be removed. When the egg and the sperm are being formed there in the gonads, the factories where the vehicles of life are being formed, let me tell you that the sperm, once formed in the testes of a man, before it matures and is capable of fertilization, it takes 72 days. Kitna? 72 days. And it is there stored in the testes and the tract before it is ejected in the female genital tract. Those 72 hours, when the DNA is there in that sperm, that so tiny cell, if there is something in the environment that impacts the expression or the compactness of the DNA, it's going to express. Similarly, in case of egg, in case of a mother, the eggs throughout life they are maturing, but then they get completely mature only just before release from the ovary. So what I mean to say is, in a given menstrual cycle, before the egg is released, there is, or when it is released and then it is fertilized, at that moment, there is complete maturity happening. During that period, if there is some environmental insult, that is going to express as an abnormality. During gestation, so once that conception, once that fertilized zygote is coming in the uterus, it is getting attached to the mother's womb, it grows, it receives all that from the mother, whatever is necessary for its growth and development. Nutrition, oxygen, all the hormones, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins, everything that the baby is not producing on its own, it is getting it from the mother. So whatever is the composition of the mother's blood will impact the development of the baby. If the mother's blood has got alcohol in it, it will pass to the baby. And we know there are babies born with alcohol syndrome, fetal alcohol syndrome, mental retardation, so many abnormalities. If the mother's blood is having stress hormones, if she is under stress consistently and continuously, extreme stress, which leads to hormones which are stress related hormones, those hormones will pass to the baby, and that will impact the growth and development of the brain and the overall baby. If the mother is exposed to something, if the mother is simply consider, for example, the mother is having diabetes, severe diabetes, which is not managed, that extra sugar in the mother's blood will pass to the baby and the baby will be unhealthy. The baby will be too huge in size and it will have number of other problems. If the mother is having thyroid problem, hypothyroidism, thyroid hormone is less, T3, T4 hormone is less, which is necessary for the growth and development of the baby. If that is less, the baby will be small in size. It will be mentally retarded. Genes are there, whatever are there, they are there in the baby. Whatever it got at that conception, it got it. But that environment, that surrounding outside, which includes the environment of the uterus itself, the blood that is passing to the baby, all the contents inside the blood, which are the nutrients, which are medicines, which are the infections, which are the hormones of the mother, which are reflected by even the thinking, feeling, beliefs, and emotions of the mother. All these factors are making some genes get on and others get off, and causing either some abnormalities. So depending on what the environment is, the baby will be either, you can say, beautiful life or an ugly life, healthy or unhealthy, normal, so-called, or abnormal. It is during those 9 months when the baby is growing from that single cell into a multi-trillion structure before the baby is born, about 45 centimeters in length. During that period, anything and everything that the baby is getting from the mother is impacting the growth and development of the baby, including its brain. If the mother has been exposed to stressful situations throughout that period, it is going to create stress in the baby before it is born. Let me tell you something interesting. Now that those mothers who have experienced pregnancies recently, in last few years, they must have seen that their doctors have prescribed them folic acid. Nearly all of them have been prescribed. Folic acid is something, a chemical, right? A vitamin. And now we know that folic acid is an essential ingredient that we have to give from outside for the normal, proper development of the brain. In the absence of that, we see the incidence of mentally abnormal babies or babies with brain defects or spinal cord defects is more in absence or in less amount. That's why they have started prescribing it to the mothers even before they are pregnant. And once they are pregnant, again for a certain period, when the brain is developing, during that period, the mother is to be given that folic acid and again vitamin B12. These are nothing but the epigenetic phenomena, which influence which genes should be put on and which should be put off at a specific moment in the journey. Our journey, the journey started at conception, even before that. And in this journey, at a specific moment, a specific gene has to be put on and specific has to be put off at a given moment. And that is determined by the environment. Even when the baby is born in the postnatal period, till 7 years of life, a very critical period of growth and development, first 7 years. And moreover, the first 2 years, when the baby is exploring the world around, looking at who that baby is, what the world is, and who they are around, looking at what is the meaning of everything around. In that period, the nutrition, the care taken, the mental status of the people who are taking care of that baby up to 7 years, and especially up to 3 years, that's very, very critical. What the baby gets in that period decides what the baby is going to live throughout life. And that is happening through epigenetic phenomena. Some of the genes are going to be permanently switched off, and some are going to be switched on. If the genes which are required to be switched on later, if they are switched off permanently at this moment, it's going to cause problem. So we have started understanding that before birth, as the brain is growing stepwise, even after birth, in the first 7 years, when the brain is forming specific patterns of living, during that period, what the child is getting as an environment, in a sense, food, water, air, care, love, determines how that person is going to be in life, how that person is going to live. Very great revelation that we have very recently found out. After that period, and even in the adults, there are all the factors outside and inside your head which are determining who you are being and what you are living. Now that we have talked about the environment that we're talking about is the environment where cells are living. We are not talking only about the environment outside your body. We're talking of the environment inside your body, outside the cells, outside every cell. And we have talked about what is there in the blood. Now let us see what is the most critical and the most important part of this epigenetic phenomena that governs who we are. So before that, let me give you some example about which are related to diseases. So every day on this planet, about 5 to 7% of babies, 5 to 7% of babies are born with some or the other abnormality. About 3% of the babies are born with a genetic defect, proper structural problem. And the babies where we don't see the structural problem, but there is a problem, there is somewhere the epigenetic influence, the genes are either switched off, which are necessary to be switched on, are switched off. Mental retardation, autistic babies, psychiatric disorders, obesities, hypertension in old age, diabetes, schizophrenia, cancer, all these kinds of diseases are linked to the epigenetic phenomena. What I mean epigenetic phenomena is some genes are switched off by the environment where the cells are living. Some genes are switched on which are not necessary. To give you some example, simple example of one of the epigenetic phenomena. Now here you can see two different babies. Here this boy is seen to be too obese. The boy is mentally retarded. There is muscular weakness. And this condition is what we call as Prader-Willi syndrome. Here this baby is not obese, but it is mentally retarded. And you can see the baby is happy. This is what is called as happy syndrome also, called as Angelman syndrome. There is muscle weakness, there is mental retardation, and the baby looks happy all the time. Both these conditions are caused by a specific epigenetic phenomena. What is that? Here, this baby has inherited both chromosomes 15 from mother. So as we have seen earlier, that we have to get 23 chromosomes from mother and 23 from father in pairs. Consider all 46. you got from mother, or all 46 you got from father, you are not going to survive. You will not live. Here we are talking about only one chromosome 15. So if both chromosome 15s are coming from mother, none is from father. Two chromosome 15s coming from mother, this gives rise to the disease called as Prader-Willi syndrome. Chromosome has got all those genes, whatever are necessary. But because it is coming from father, both are coming from father, and there is no gene, specific gene on chromosome 15 from mother, it is going to express as a disease. This is the epigenetic, above genes. Genes are there. The influence is whether it is coming from mother or father. And in this case, both chromosome 15s, if they are coming from father, it results in Angelman syndrome. Same thing. Same chromosome. Whether it comes from mother or from father, it decides what disease the baby is going to have. Chromosomes are there, genes, all genes are there as like the normal, except that they are coming either from father or mother, both copies. This is epigenetic phenomena. Most of the cancers are the result of epigenetic phenomena. Our body, every moment, is replacing millions of cells. Millions of cells are dying and new are being formed. And this control of how many cells are to be formed and how many cells are to die is determined by some repairing mechanisms inside the DNA. If this repairing mechanism is defective or it is switched off by the epigenetic many times to divide, that causes cancer. Hello? Pramod, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, there is some instability there in the
Yes.
So what I'm talking about is there are certain factors which cause switching off of those repairing mechanisms. DNA is not altered, but the genes which are involved in the repairing mechanism of the cell, because cells are continuously dividing and redividing and there is a damage happening, that damage has to be repaired by the genes. And there are certain repair genes. If these genes are switched off by certain environmental factors in your blood, consider, for example, nicotine as one of the factors. Consistently, nicotine and certain carcinogens inside your blood will switch off the controlling gene, cell division controlling genes. And then it will cause the cells to divide uncontrollably. The cells will keep on dividing and dividing and dividing without control. That is what cancer is. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. Schizophrenia, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, psychiatric disorders, autistic behavior, mental retardation, and simply your chronic anxiety even also is caused by epigenetic phenomena. Is this related to diseases only? No. Let us talk about it. So inside this body, this is one of the very beautiful revelation. Inside this body, there are different organs, and your brain is the one which controls everything. How does it control? It acts as a chemist. It prescribes something that is released inside the body in the form of different hormones. That releases different form of neurotransmitters, signals are given. And how does it do? How does the brain does that? Let us look at this image. What do you see? Here is something. The child sees that this appears to be a snake. And inside the brain, there is a snake, which is nothing but death. Snake means poison and death. And there is a threat created. The brain gives orders in the form of some signals to your muscles to take action, to kill that snake or run away from that snake. Though it is not a snake, it is a rope. If the child sees this as a snake because he is afraid of snake, or there is a lot of fear about snake, and something appears to be snake, the child will kill it or run away from it. What does that mean? That means certain chemicals which are released in the blood in the form of stressful hormones which make the body ready to fight or flight, which are released by the brain, making certain genes to express, to act in a particular way, is decided by how the brain pursues of what is there. There is something out, and the brain pursues something of that. It might be reality, it might not be reality. And most of the time, what that brain pursues is sept colored, modified by what is there in the head in the form of beliefs. And where are these beliefs coming from? These are coming from how you were treated, how you were reared, how you were educated, and what were your experiences in your early childhood. Buddha said 2,400 years back, what you believe, you become. What we believe, we become. We become in what sense? Whether you are happy, powerful, free, or whether you are bound to something, whether you are unhappy, whether you are powerless, who you become as a person is determined by what you believe. What is there inside your head? What is there and what you perceive of what is there will decide the brain, will make the brain to release certain chemicals. And those chemicals are going to make the genes express or not to express at that moment, and that moment is the life. Let me make you clear that life exists here and now. At that moment, what the person experiences is the life. And that is modified by how it occurs. What is the brain seeing of what is there? Now, that all our scriptures have described this. All our Rishi Muni's sons, psychology, leadership principles are based on this. We are trying to explain it from a genetic point of view. That's the only thing. Neurosciences have revealed this. Neuroscience is telling us something about why do we do what we do? So when you are here on this call right now, why are you here is a question. And what you do after this call, why do you do that? Why do you do what you do tomorrow? Why did you do whatever you did so far? All that we're talking about. And we are relating it to the epigenetics. And epigenetics is what? Epigenetics is the cells are expressing, or the genes are expressing in response to the environment where they are living. What is the environment? The environment is the blood. What is there in the blood? So otherwise, other than the nutrients and the air and the injections and all those things, your brain is releasing the chemicals all the time, consistently. And that brain is releasing those chemicals which either switch on or switch off your specific kinds of cells and genes, is determined by how it pursues what is there out, how it pursues who he is, that person is, and how it pursues who they are outside, and how it pursues what the world is around. Depending on that, let me give you another example. Now let us look at this. A small baby, 6-8 months old. Mother is holding it, throwing it in the air. The baby is happy, smiling. The baby is not afraid of falling on the ground. The baby is happy. How it occurs to that baby is there is love, there is care. And that occurring is determining how the genes are expressed. The genes are expressed in the form of muscles of face contracting to cause smile. There are hormones released by the brain in the form of dopamine, oxytocin, and growth hormone, which are forming the environment of the cells inside the body and which is expressing in the form of wow. That grace, that ease, that happiness, that love, that care. These chemicals are released by the brain, and that is what makes life at that moment. Moment by moment, you are living because of the surrounding of the cells, and that surrounding is making the genes to express or not to express, or switch off or switch on. We humans are capable of changing our perceptions by changing our context for life. So great news. Once we get that we are capable of altering our perceptions of the environment around, maybe we are not able to change the environment, but we are able to change the perception of our environment. Yes, living becomes happy. Living becomes powerful. We have a say in our own life. That is what gives us what we really want being human being. We are capable of changing our perceptions of the environment. And this environment, what we're talking about, includes the world around, living and non-living, people in that world, and you in there as a structure, as a function. All that. If you alter your perspective, consider a simple perspective. For example, the world is so bad, and say how you live. Consider the perspective, you are not capable of doing something, and see how the world is. See how the life is. Consider the perspective, it is not worth living. See, people die, they kill themselves. Their perspective is world is not worth living, life is not worth living, and that makes people die. Every day, thousands of people are dying by just that perspective. It is not worth living. Who they think who they are is incapable of living in this world out, which is same for all. But their perspective, how they perceive what it is determining what they do with their life at that moment. We can change that. We can change our environment also to a certain extent. So we can change the air that we breathe in. We can change the water that we drink. We can change the food that we eat. We can change our habits, and we can change, the most important thing is our perceptions. If you are taking in everything that is required by the body in a perfect way, but your perceptions are something faulty, your perceptions are like it is not worth living, then your life stops there. Who you are as an entity, as a human being on this planet, is determined by your perceptions of who you are, what they are, and what the world is about. Therefore, we are not the victims. We are literally the masters of our destiny. Now, to take this topic ahead, we can talk hours together on this. How we can master and how we can create the world we want to live into. How is the role of our genes? Now, this is the one way of looking at it. This is it. But then, is there something that we can do beyond this? Is a topic that can be explored for hours together. We are not victims, for sure. Whereas, literally 90% and more than 90% of people live life as if they don't have any say in their life. They are controlled by environment. They are controlled by people around. They are limited by what they have inherited. They are limited by what they are given by their parents. They are limited. They keep blaming the world around. I am this way because it is that way, and the world is that way. My parents are like that, and I got this much of education, and I got that much. It has nothing to do with that. We literally are the masters of our destiny, because at this level where it is written, we can alter the expression. We can alter the reading of that, we have to recognize for sure that belief of being a victim is itself a perception. Belief that I am a victim of the surroundings or I am the victim of the DNA that I inherited from my parent itself is a belief. And that is governing us. That needs to be altered, and that is the good news. We need to alter the context of living. We need to alter the context of life before death. What is there for me to get and what is there for me to contribute before I die? And what life is there before I die is this moment. I don't know whether next moment I am there or not. Nobody knows. Your life is here and now. The context has to be here and now. It cannot be in the future. It cannot be someday, other day. It has to be here. And that determines how your genes are put on or off. The deterministic view that everything is there in the genes and you can't do anything about it, and that we are trying to manipulate the genome now. So science is going in that direction also. We are trying to manipulate the genome also. We are trying to create designer babies. We are trying to create the gene therapies. We are trying to create techniques and tools to manipulate our genes and enhance our abilities. What about the ability you have got right now? The ability you have got is to alter the context of life and live life the way you want. You can create the world you want to live into. And that is possible only by altering your context of life, altering your perception of who you are, who they are, and what the world is about. So with this, I stop here. I'm sure there are a lot many questions. This topic is something where people are using from different directions to motivate, to inspire. This is the scientific view. You can peep in your own book of life and you can read it the way you want to live. You can read it the way you want it to be read. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. This was absolutely a next amazing lecture. I thought like it should keep going on.
Yeah.
In such a simple language for everyone on as a layman. On behalf of all the participants, I thank you for taking your time. Let's see if there are any questions. If we can take any questions over here, I'll keep it open. Generally, we get a lot of questions this time. Okay, there is first one is okay, just a message, but I'll still read out to you. It was wonderful detailed session on epigenetics. Thank you very much. The
Thank you, Aparna.
question:
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What if a child has a 47 XXY chromosome and it is curable? I mean, you can also read it.
Yeah, therein. So 47XXY is what we call as Klinefelter syndrome. We need to have only two sex chromosomes. When it is XY, we are a boy. And when it is XX, it is a girl. Anything more or less than that is causing a problem. Now, when we talk of cure, as such, there is no cure. We cannot remove that extra chromosome from the body, from the cells. We can definitely make the life happy. I assure you, we can definitely make that life happy. In fact, that life doesn't have any problem with that chromosomal complement. You have a problem. The other people have a problem. Having that extra chromosome is making that person a person. Simply because it is not looking like the other persons, the so-called normals, we are pointing out. We are saying it is not like this and it is not like that. And that is creating a problem, that is creating a misery, that is creating a pain. There is no cure as such where you can remove that chromosome, but you can definitely make that life very happy. I assure you. Yes. So I hope, Zarin, you got the answer. If you have any question, you can right now ask me.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
So
Yeah.
is there any percentage, doctor, that epigenetics, the way you perceive,
I think I was so.
Situations where the Noax cannot.
does someone want to ask question? I think Dr. Praveen Supe is unmute, so do you want to ask any question?
No, nothing.
Okay. So here's one question.
Pramod, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Praveen, do you have any question?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
There is a question.
Okay. My internet seems to be too unstable. I'll just.
Okay. Let's see if we can take the question. Maybe you dropped. Just give him some time. He might join. Okay. You're on mute, doctor. You need to unmute.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Good. Okay. Yeah.
Here is a question. Sir, I would like to know how to program our intellect to change our deep-rooted belief about ourselves, our genes, etc. Especially when you know that, what is that? It's probably psychoneurobics actually works in our favor if you want to improve your health.
So I can't see that question here. Can you repeat that question,
It's
Pramod?
from Aparna Patil. Is it for me now? Let me see. Sir, I would like to know how to program our intellect to change our deep-rooted belief about ourselves, such as our genes, especially when you know that psychoneurobics actually works in our favor if we want to improve our health.
Right. Yeah. So Aparna, one thing is sure कि we cannot change the genes, we cannot change the sequence of DNA, but we can alter the expression of the genes. That is what I said. And when I say we can alter the expression of our genes, I'm talking about we can alter the chemical release from the brain, chemicals being released from the brain moment to moment. And we can do that by altering our perceptions. Now, how to alter the perceptions is your question. That is what I get from the question. Now, altering the perceptions, so there is a whole of the spirituality behind all that. The first and the most important thing in any procedure that you do, whether it is neuro aerobics or whether it is neuro exercising or whether this is exercise, whether this is yogasana, whether this is any religious procedure, the most important thing is your intention. If you intend to accomplish something and you do something for accomplishing that, most of your intention without you doing something is accomplished. Let me make it clear. You simply intend to feel happy right now at this moment. Just get that intention and you can feel happy. Is there somewhere you can go and purchase that happiness? No. Had it been there, people could have actually bought it, right? So when we're talking of that chemistry happening in the brain, there is a procedure whereby we can alter the deep-rooted beliefs. There are so many deep-rooted beliefs. And example, I'll tell you, like a simple lizard on the wall, a reptile on the wall of your home, you are so much afraid you don't want to go in there. Or even the cockroaches, right, in the kitchen. People are so much afraid that they get panicky. What does that cockroach do? Nothing. But there is something deep-rooted inside the brain which makes you release those hormones and chemicals inside the body, and you react it that way. Can you remove that? Yes, you can. How? So there are ways. There are different kinds of counselings. There are different kinds of, you can say, the methodologies. There are spiritual ways. There are psychological ways. There are different ways of doing that. One of the way is meditating and asking yourself, who are you? Consistently asking yourself, who are you? I'll tell you, if you just keep on asking that question, nobody is giving you answer. You yourself will reveal who you are is not that here. Who you are is not this body. Who you are is not that feeling. Who you are in reality is that pure being called as human being. And once you reach that nothingness where there is nothing from past is here, right? Inside your head, there are a lot many things which are actually imbibed deeply, either by your parents or by the society, or something happened at that moment and you were shocked. And then you took it as if this is something a threat to your existence. And you want to avoid it. And in a reverse way, it can be done. It can be reversed. That is what we are talking about. We can alter that perception of the world. The world at that moment, when you are looking at a cockroach and you are afraid of, that is what you are living at that moment. That is life. And that is happening because of your perception of that cockroach as a threat to your existence. And that can be altered. So there are ways and means of doing that.
Thank you, Doctor.
I hope I could make it clear. Yeah.
So there is a next question. Can we change genes of viruses, bacteria, and kill them by this permanently? Dr. Yogesh.
Kill them. Okay, where is the question?
Can we change genes of viruses, bacteria, and kill them?
Yeah, in a laboratory we can do that.
By
So if you look at
by the epigenetics way or by expressing humans.
Yeah, we can do that. So in a cell, so in a laboratory, we can manipulate the cells, we can manipulate the genes, we can manipulate the DNA, we can take out genes, we can enter genes, we can alter the sequences. That is what the technology is all about today. So we can kill the bacteria and the viruses. Yes, where? In the laboratory. Can you do it outside in the world where there are viruses entering inside the human body? Right now, no. Can you change your own genes right now? No. There is a technique called as CRISPR-Cas technique whereby we can manipulate the DNA. But then that is an experimental stage. And that is also we are using for doing experiments in people who are having genetic diseases because of the defect in their DNA structure. So that technique is there. Altering the DNA, changing the DNA, you can make the cells die also, but where? In a very limited space, in a very limited place.
Thank you, Doctor. So this is the next question. Does our thoughts control secretion of certain chemicals or release of certain chemicals?
100%.
So controlling of thoughts.
Yeah. So when we say whether our thought can control the chemicals, it is yes. So like that there is something lovable is a thought. That there is something beautiful is a thought. Beauty is there in your mind. It's a thought which is coming in that there is something beautiful. And that beautiful feeling creates the secretion of certain hormones. Dopamine, oxytocin, maybe vasopressin, maybe some other hormones which are actually making you happy, energetic, enthusiastic. When you see there is some opportunity, when you see there is something beautiful, when you see there is something appealing, right? But when you see there is something, when in your mind a thought crops in, if there is a, for example, around your house, there is a leopard, somebody told you, in your head now there is a thought, there is a leopard around, and you are afraid of leopard. What will you do? The brain is secreting the hormones which are making you either ready to fight or flight, run or fight, and you will take those actions. So those are the chemicals which are released by the thought that comes in the mind. Whatever comes in the form of a language in your head is nothing but a thought. Thoughts can be altered. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. So there's the next question. Can effect of genetic defect be reduced by altering expression of related genes?
Yeah. So can effect of a genetic defect be reduced by altering expression of related genes? Is there any research going on about it? Yes. So then I said like right now we cannot alter the gene in the living person. There are trials happening where recently, very recently, there are two conditions for which gene therapy is successful, is declared successful for thalassemia and sickle cell anemia. Very deadly diseases, very common, and for that the gene therapy is already in existence. Now, this gene therapy is involving actually putting in some gene from outside in the body, altering the structure of the gene to make it near normal, to make it express the normal protein. That is what we do. But in conditions where this is not available. So for example, I'll tell you like Duchenne muscular dystrophy, as I talked it last time also. Duchenne muscular dystrophy is one of the common genetic condition. It happens because of defect in a dystrophic gene which causes muscles to contract. And if this happens, this is generally happening only in boys, it is not happening in females. When there is a defect in that gene, generally the boy after 3-4 years experiences muscle weakness. He is unable to run. Slowly he is unable to even walk. Then he is unable to sit, get up from sitting. He is unable to even sit. Then there is death, imminent death by the age of 20-25. Now, I have seen boys with Duchenne muscular dystrophy dying at the age of 15. I have seen boys with Duchenne muscular dystrophy living up to 30. Now, what does that mean? That means the environment that is provided for the baby or that child is making the gene express. The gene express in a sense that protein is defective, that gene is defective. But whatever protein is produced necessary for the muscle movements, that is being used properly. The rest of the genome is being used properly by the thoughts. And the intention itself is very powerful. If you tell someone, so if I say that you are looking sick, you are looking sick, you are looking sick, if I say it 3 times to you, you feel sick. If you create empowering conversation, if you create a purpose for life, people who are having strong willpower, they create that. You can extend it for sure. So the expression of a gene, though it is defective, can be altered by your thoughts and beliefs and by the surrounding provided. Let me tell you something, like people die, most of the people die after 60 years just by the thought that there is nothing to do. Everything is done. What is there for me now? And there are people who can live beyond 100, who think there is a lot they can contribute to the world. Simply by that thought, your genes express in a various ways. Yeah.
Thanks, Raghu. I missed one important question also, and I'll
Yes.
read that out. How to cure chronic disease like diabetic hypertension by the help of epigenetics?
Yeah. So if you look at diabetes, what are we actually looking at is the blood sugar level goes up. That is what a common understanding of common public is. Blood sugar is higher. Now, blood sugar is higher in itself doesn't cause anything, right? Means that is not a disease. Blood sugar is more. That is a measure of the diabetes. When blood sugar is more, it is causing the problems with different systems. Now, this blood sugar in the blood, can it be monitored? Can it be controlled? To a certain extent? Definitely yes, by your food, by your exercise, by your thoughts, and that is what doctors are prescribing you. Other than medicines, what doctors generally prescribe is altering your lifestyle, your thinking. They are prescribing you to meditate. They are prescribing you to do exercise, regular exercise. They are prescribing you a specific food. How much to eat, when to eat, how to eat are the very, very important questions a diabetic patient has to address. Because what you are taking in is creating the sugar, right? So how much, when, and how? What, when, how, and how much? These are the questions to be addressed. And that is what it gets in, and that is what manipulates the sugar, monitors the sugar. If it is not monitored, if it goes beyond a certain limit, we take medicines. Again, what the medicines are doing? The medicines are either making increased release of insulin when it is required, or it is making the sugar to go inside the cell in increased amount so that it is utilized properly, or it is reducing your weight, or it is something doing related to reduction of the sugar there in the blood. Again, it is epigenetic phenomena. DNA is there as it is. We are not changing that DNA, but we are changing the expression of the DNA. We are making cells do something by altering the environment. May I request Praveen to throw some light on this, if you can hear me, Praveen? Dr. Praveen Supe. Okay, he can't hear me. Yeah.
He's on mute.
So I think that's what I want to say about it.
So this next question, doctor, on the context of
Yeah.
genetics and epigenetics, is there any space and role to God in this phenomena? Expect no methodological or ambiguous answer.
So yeah, thank you so much for that clarity. On the context of genetics and epigenetics, is there any space and role to God in this phenomena? So it depends on how you take what God is. So for me, God is this unambiguous consciousness that I experience as life, that I experience moment by moment existing inside of me, inside of you, inside the life on this planet. That is what life is all about, right? Now, on the context of this genetics and epigenetics, so if you look at this consciousness, which cannot be perceived on a larger scale in this universe, everything created here can be said as a creation of God, including the DNA. As a human being, when we are looking at, do you have a say in your life? We are talking. Do you have that power here to manipulate the DNA created by God or created by nature? We are talking about that thing. And the answer is yes. So where is a God? It is here in your head, in your consciousness. That consciousness which can control it. That purity that you are can control that. That is what it means to be human being. If you are not using that consciousness to use what you have, including your DNA, you are just being simply an animal. A human animal is just like any other animal if we are not using that consciousness. So where humanity comes in is that consciousness, and that is what I consider as God. Where is that? It is inside of me. It is inside of you. And that's why it makes possible to create the world that you want to live into. I think I'm not ambiguous.
Thank you, doctor. Very good. I liked it. So the next question, let's read out. How fast can we see changes in our body, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually by changing our microbiome on a healthier side?
Yes. So Aparna, knowledge of microbiome is very latest. Recently, we have started understanding about the composition of our microbiome. We have started even testing the microbiome. So we can take a sample of the stool. We can test what kind of microbes you have inside your gut. And by our understanding of what is good and what is bad microbiome, we have started prescribing also what to eat, what not to eat, what is good for you, what is poison for you in the form of the food. Microbiome, human microbiome is one of the very big things that we are coming up recently. We have started talking, is that microbiome controlling the human? Is that microbiome controlling what we think even? If we add inside our gut the good microbiome, can we live longer? If there are bad microbes inside, is it causing other diseases? And for most of the questions, they have started revealing the answers. Right now, we have started doing it. I am doing it from my laboratory. I am prescribing the microbiome tests. And we are getting the answers to some of the questions. For example, some of the allergies we are getting answers to. Some of the skin conditions, some of the digestive problems, some of the sleep disorders, we have started getting answers. People have started feeling good by altering their lifestyle, altering their foods constituents. That is how we can prescribe right now based on the microbiome, but that's in a very preliminary stage so far, very infantile stage. And as we go ahead, possibly we'll be able to get a lot of information about it, and we'll be able to use maybe capsules. Right now we have started already using capsules of the microbes. We will take capsules of microbes instead of the antibiotics that we are taking, chemicals we are taking. Yeah.
Thank you, doctor. So the next question is, does this correlate to neurolinguistic program? Maybe I read it wrong. It's a medical
Does
word.
this correlate to neuro-linguistic program? Yeah, it is. It does. So when we talk of neurolinguistic, let me tell you something which this statement is very commonly used by the psychologists and the leadership managers or the leaders in the world. All the existence is in language. All the human existence is in language. You remove the language and you are simply an animal, or you are simply a vegetative state. Remove the language. And this language is what is added here since beginning. So if the language is something which is empowering, you have thoughts empowering that manifests in the form of empowering actions. Neurolinguistic, in a sense, language enhancing the neuronal patterns. Simply alteration of the word or alteration of the thought changes how the body reacts, and that is happening through the neuronal patterns. And as I said, all this is epigenetic phenomena. So that we saw from the beginning itself, as a cell, single cell, and a multitude of cells, as a composition or the assembly of the cells, all these cells are working together. And they are responding to certain chemicals which are released by brain. And brain is releasing those based on the thoughts we have. And the thoughts are in language. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is it spirituality in scientific language?
You can say, if you want. So ultimately, it has to do with your existence, your experience of existence. Whether you use it from a spiritual perspective or scientific perspective, how are you living right now at this moment is important. Whether I use scientific knowledge to explain that or spiritual knowledge to explain doesn't matter. Just because people understand the scientific language today, we are using the scientific language to explain the same thing, which our spirituality has been telling us. All the spirituality for thousands and thousands of years have been revealing or is investigating how to live powerfully, happily, now to make that available for the people around us. Trying to answer the question, who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my existence? Nobody can give you that from outside. You can create that. And if you create it from a spiritual perspective or scientific, that doesn't matter. That purpose has to be empowering. Empowering for yourself and empowering for the rest of the life on this planet. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one more question, the last question probably. Is there any way we can get genetic modification for allergic conditions? Is there any way we can get
Neeraj,
modifications for allergic conditions?
Neeraj, thank you so much for being here first. And then thank you so much for this question.
Dr. Neeraj.
So is there
Daniel,
any way?
it was wonderful. I'm absolutely glued to this. I'm having my dinner, but I'm not able to leave your talk. It's a wonderful talk, Ganesh, and God bless you. It's a very amazing talk. I've been here for last 1.5 hours,
Thank you
and I've
so
been
much.
listening to you. I sent it to my friends. They are also logged in. Friends not from GMC. Anyway,
Neeraj,
no, I'm
that
asking
means a
this
lot to me.
because
Thank you so
I
much.
wanted to know. No, very well done, very well done. Very proud of you, Ganesh.
Yeah.
So that question I asked about allergic disorder, I mean, I
Yeah.
know someone who has nut allergy, very bad nut allergy and egg allergy. So
Mhm.
it doesn't run in families now. This the genetic thing comes in. We don't have as parents. And I was just thinking whether you can have any answer for that.
So, Neeraj, right now I don't have any answer to this. Allergic conditions, as far as gene manipulation is concerned, I don't know it is happening right now. What I understand by this is there are two things that we are right now doing in allergy cases. So people test for the specific allergen and try to avoid that. That is what we know. But we have started identifying the microbiome also related to allergies.
Right.
Second thing, we have started looking at the impact of meditation on expression of allergies.
Right.
And there are a lot many researches which say that allergies can be controlled by meditation.
Right.
Simply, allergy is nothing but the response of your body to some stimulus. And we are talking here the same thing, that response can be modified by making some chemical release or stopping some chemical release from the brain. So when something is initiated, if the person gets panicky, that response is enhanced as a reaction. When we look at it from a perspective of, you can say, calmness, peace of mind, you can control that response and stop it there and there itself. So when we talk of the difference between the reaction and the response, that is what we're talking about. Meditation is, in my opinion, one of the very good way. There are a lot many research papers saying that allergies can be controlled by meditation. So as far as the gene therapy is concerned, right now I don't have any knowledge, and it is not happening there in the practice.
Yeah. If you ever come across gene therapy for allergy, please let me know.
Yes, Neeraj. Yeah.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you and nice seeing you.
Thank you so much, dear. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
And very true, doctor. I myself has a personal experience. 12 years, 13 years before, the way I used to suffer through the allergy, it's completely changed, almost to drop to maybe 10%, just by what you're explaining through this different.
Yeah. It's a
Not
great thing. Yeah.
no medication.
Yeah.
So there we
It's
have a next.
fantastic.
Yeah. So there's a next question. Can we control autoimmune disease by epigenetics? Dr. Smita Suppe.
Yeah, theoretically speaking, yes. So when we talk of autoimmune, that means your own body cells are responding against your own body cells. Meaning, naturally, normally, our body destroys something which is considered as foreign. So if something enters inside our body, maybe bacteria, virus, or any foreign particle, our immune system is ready to fight back and kill it. In autoimmune disease, what happens? Our own immune system, our own immune cells is ready to kill our own cells because it recognizes that as foreign. Now, this autoimmune disorder again is a kind of a response, again is a kind of a reaction to certain, you can say, the environment, right? But as far as treatment is concerned, we don't have any, you can say, any evidence to prove that there is a thought which can control the autoimmune disease. It can limit the signs and symptoms, but it cannot remove the disease. It can definitely limit, it can definitely lessen the signs and symptoms of the condition, autoimmune condition. So can it be controlled by epigenetics? Yeah, epigenetics, again, when we talk of epigenetics, we're talking of the environment that includes your food and fluids and the exercise and the air and all those kinds of things, along with your thought process and along with your perception. So if your perception of who you are is someone who is powerless by having that condition, it is going to enhance the condition. That is what I'm talking. There might be a gene defect expressing in the form of autoimmune disease, but the expression of that can be manipulated and modified is what we're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, so we have 5 more minutes. So let's take maybe these two more questions. How can we do a simple research to change genetic expressions through diet, lifestyle, yoga, Ayurveda, etc., to generate evidence and make it applicable to the society?
Yeah, Dr. Yogesh, there are a lot many, you can say the research projects going on in this area. So one is Kaivalya Dham, Lonavala, where they have already taken up some projects there in genetics, impact of yoga on the expression of the genome. So that can be done. And depending on what are you intending to do, maybe if you are looking at, for example, a particular disease, and the procedures, Ayurvedic procedures, or the yoga therapies or the spiritual procedures, that can be designed if you are looking for a disease. If you are not looking for a disease, if you are looking for the potentials and the life, you will have to define the parameters to be measured. And that is what is happening in the yoga universities for last so many years. So if you go to any yoga university in Bangalore, SVASA is there, Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Sanstha. In Munger, Bihar, there is one university, International University of Yoga. They have been doing this research for last so many years, lot many books, lot many research papers, and they have revealed the impact of yoga and lifestyle on your life itself by measuring different parameters. So you can measure maybe simply blood pressure, you can measure the respiratory rate, you can measure your you can say the stamina, you can measure your muscle power, you can measure anything. You will have to define that parameter and have a measurable scale for that, and then you can set the experiment. I can help you if you really want that.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. I think
Yeah.
the person I know, his name is Mr. Ganesham Supe. He was here in US last year, who taught a lot of us, almost 200, 300 people, the yoga. So he has uh,
Hmm.
more than 100 years of research paper from Kaivalya Dham, from Lonavala. So he has many research paper. Maybe you can reach out to him. He has actual research paper on everything.
Right. Yeah, Yogesh. Yeah.
This is the last question. Is arthritis be curable by epigenetics?
Uh, Arthritis, again, there are different types of arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis, again, is a type of autoimmune disease. So epigenetics doesn't have much of the say in that as far as the autoimmunity is concerned. But the symptoms and signs can be definitely lessened. Arthritis, which is age-related, is again something that you can control by epigenetics, by altering your diet, by altering your exercise, by altering your lifestyle. Yes.
I think that's it. That was the last question. And
Yeah.
on this closing note, on behalf of Attarde Foundation and on behalf of all the participants, this was absolutely an extremely great insight, knowledgeable session. You found time for 3 times, on our request in your busy schedule. So thank you, Doctor, for being here and enlighten all of
Thank
us.
you so much, Pramod. Thank you so much. I really want to thank each and every one of you here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I consider this is a big opportunity because I really wanted to have this kind of platform where people are eager to listen to something like this. Something which is translated, a science translated into a common man's language, a science translated into day-to-day living, right? And not the terms like epigenetics and genes and chromosomes are common terms, but you could be here. You are here for the last 3 sessions, and you heard me very patiently, keenly, curiously, and you gave me an opportunity to answer your questions. Also, I don't know whether all my questions were satisfactory, and there is I literally am very happy and very thankful to every one of you for giving me this opportunity.
So there is,
And Pramod, thank you so much to Attarde Foundation. Yeah.
yeah. Dilip wanted to say something.
Yes, actually, I just wanted to thank you because this is the first time I'm attending, but I have seen your other videos. Pramod forwarded us.
Yes.
And this is a lot more information than what I expected. Actually, my daughter is the one who's planning to go into genetics. She's in a second year of college now.
Okay.
And she started attending today, but apparently she had 10 o'clock her online the school. So she had to drop, but she's going to watch later on the recorded one. She might be
Love
having a
that.
lot
Yeah.
of questions. So
Okay.
maybe, if you are
I
kind
talked to
enough, you
yes,
can
invite
spare
to
about
talk. Yeah.
half an hour whenever possible, one-to-one, if it is possible for you.
I can do
Because
that.
she needs some
I would love to
guidance.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she needs some guidance, and she's determined to go for the genetics in biology.
I would definitely love to do that, Dilip. Thank you so much. You can ask
Perfect.
her to put me a mail, or I can even pass her. You can get my number
Already,
from Pramod.
doctor, I already told you, like, probably.
Pramod has already
Yes.
taken care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really appreciate all your information, what you have provided us. It completely opens up our mind, and indirectly it's telling us like what our ancestors knew through the yoga.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm the one